Cr1t, congratulations on your 2-0 victory. The best team in NA once again is Shopify Rebellion, and I believe you guys have now guaranteed qualified to the Bali Major. What's on your mind? How the hell are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel happy with this season. It's been a little bit of a weird one because we played with TSM first and we beat them, so we knew we were in a good spot from the start, and then we had a long wait until we knew we were going to play Nouns, and it's been kind of smooth sailing until today. So it was very like at the start and the end type of season, and the middle was not so interesting. So it's nice to finally get there and get some good games today against Nouns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cr1t, you did mention one thing that I want to kind of go off. You said it was smooth sailing up until today. We couldn't help but notice game one was a bit closer than we would have expected, going to 61 minutes against Nouns. Can you kind of break down maybe what went wrong or what Nouns did so right that made you guys drag it out so long?
I think a little bit of mix of things. I think obviously they got a pretty late pick Medusa. We don't have the greatest heroes to deal with Medusa. I think that's part of it. Another part was I think our team fighting was a little bit rusty today. Like that game, we had to play the team fights a little bit more disciplined and just drag them out, but we kind of rushed into them and made it easy for them to play because they didn't really have much stuns. They just had two fat heroes in Medusa and Timber, and we just kind of took that bait. So yeah, I think it just us messing up a few fights and then also just wanting to not play too hazardously. Made it so that it dragged out a little bit because we didn't want to go high ground with our heroes because we don't really have a hero that can really siege. So it just took a little bit longer than we wanted it to. But at the end of the day, I think the game was always looking pretty good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. John, any questions?
Yeah, Cr1t. Speaking about that game one, we noticed a couple of moments there where Artur was pinging the damage done to himself with the Ags buildup. How did you personally feel about the Bloodseeker Ags coming out so early there?
The thing is, Bloodseeker is just a very popular hero right now, and most people just default by the Ags. And Artur doesn't have too many Bloodseeker games in his pub, so I won't lie. Like, it's not his most practiced hero. So I think he just kind of defaulted to the Aghanim Scepter, and in the game, he's like, he didn't understand why he was dying. And then we realized like it's probably not a good idea for him to buy this axe against Medusa, and it was just like a learning experience, you know. So yeah, I mean, it was a little bit interesting. We didn't really expect it to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking in the game. So he said afterwards the game, he said the axe was pretty useless. So I think he didn't like it too much either.
Yeah, I mean the barrier is nice. I don't know if turning on the active at all is actually useful in a lot of games, but good to know. Yeah. Everyone had a pretty good laugh when he pinged the damage to himself. I'm curious. I've asked a few of the teams that are heading out for the lands again, and I'll ask you this as well, Cr1t. What do you think is the biggest difference for you guys going into the next set of lands? I think I asked you before, but you know, just again off the back of the series, what's the biggest thing that's changed for Shopify Rebellion going into Bali, going into the next Dream League?
Well, I think it's just it's been a long couple of seasons already. I think now it's kind of this season has been weird for a lot of teams. I think I was listening to the Tofu interview earlier. He said that they've been kind of taking it easy this season because they already know they're going to TI and they kind of need to take a break now because in a week we start playing Dream League, and then after Dream League there's the major, and then after the major there's Riyadh. So there's not been a lot of time to kind of relax this season, or like to just take a little bit of a step back and not, you know, exert yourself too much. So every team kind of had to do it during the DPC in the season, which is okay for us because the region has been really weak this season. So it's easier for us to do than for some of the European teams. But then it still makes the games against Nouns and TSM pretty pressure because we're not scrimming that much. We don't really have like we were obviously always confident when we play our games, but I'd say the season is like the least practice we've been in a long time. So going into the lands, I think it's just going to be like the next week before starting Dream League. It's not really a LAN for us because we're going to be in separate locations for a part of it. But I think, and we might have a stand-in for the start as well because Abed needs to get visa, and getting visa in Philippines right now is hard. So I think we'll see what happens. I think it's just going to be a slow build-up. I think everyone is playing for Riyadh in reality. So the major is kind of going to be a warm-up for that more than anything. Also because most of the teams that are good right now are already going to TI. So the teams that are going to be doing well there are already going to TI, so they don't have like the points to play for, and the prize pool at the major is insignificant compared to Riyadh. So it's a little bit of a weird situation. But we want to do well. Like we want to win. We want to win tournaments too. You know, we want to go to the major to win. We want to play Dream League to win. We had a good showing last season, even though we played with a stand-in. So I think it's been a good season. We have one more game tomorrow that we need to win to make sure that we get first seed, and then hopefully that makes it enough for TI.
That's a very fair point about just this cascading set of events throughout this year. I am curious. Last year, our DPC structure was a little bit different. You know, a 6-week tour per season and not as much games in between. This time around with a compressed format with third parties, do you feel like it's better for you personally as a player, or did you prefer the last tour cycle actually?
I think there's probably a little bit of recency bias when it comes to that, because right now we feel very like stressed out. I think most players that have been playing everything this season is pretty burned out to some extent. So that makes me kind of miss the old system. But I remember last year being 6 weeks away to play DPC was pretty boring. 1 game a week, you know. I don't think that was a solution either. I think realistically what they did this season was a good idea. I just don't really see why it's this compressed, because there's plenty of time after the third major until TI, right? So I feel like they could have easily put a couple of weeks in there for us to, you know, not play tiebreakers or like qualification while there's a major going, you know. Like I think it's too much. Like it just put like a few more weeks in there for just like alleviating some of the pressure, and I think it would have been perfect. But it's just a little bit too much. I think most teams have had like 5 days off between majors and DPC, and it's just it's rough.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it would be interesting to see that adjustment in the next cycle. But big congratulations on this win. You guys have been looking great, and we're looking forward to big stuff on the lands.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Cr1t. Bye-bye.